Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Yeah, your host here, Rockin' Ronnie, and we're going to do a video. It's not really a thread, but it's something that Vinyl Richie's been doing. And he started out with 1968, best records of 68, 69, 70. He might have started whatever year it was, but he just did a video the other day, and it was 1972. And so I'm going to put a link down to Vinyl Richie's channel. And if you like the hardcore and the punk, he's got one of the best collections in the VC of that stuff. He's got a huge collection, has a lot of great records. But you know, I was a junior in high school in 72. So that's kind of my wheelhouse, right? 72, 73, 71, 4 in there. I was out buying lots of records in those days, and I have quite a bunch of those. So I thought, this is something I can do, a video about records that I think are great in 1972. And I've got about, I don't know, 15 I think here or so. And we only agreed on two records. The first one would be Harvest by Neil Young, as you can see here. And this is the ORS series. If you're not familiar with that series that Neil Young did, it is just the best ever stuff. The records sound wonderful. It's all from the master tapes. I've talked about this on other videos. The cover, the originals aren't this nice. This is how good of a job they've done. It's kind of like the old classic records, the big thick covers, the 200-gram records, and they sound fantastic. And of course, this is Harvest by Neil Young. And I don't know if there is we got a song list on here. Harvest, A Man Needs a Maid, it's a great song. Heart of Gold, Old Man, right, Alabama, Needle and the Damage Done. Wow, there's just a bunch of great songs on this record. And I know most of you are familiar, but if you're not, that is a great record from 1972. Another one that we agreed on, the only one of the two, is of course David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust. And I just reviewed this here a while back. And when I talked about it, I said, there's a lot of people, they probably don't have a lot of David Bowie records in their collection. But everybody seems to have this. And I bet you, Vinyl Richie, this is his only David Bowie record, because just one of those records everybody has got to have, Like I said before, you got to have Ziggy. And this is the 40th anniversary edition. And I think it was Mike at the In-Groove did a big comparison of all the records that he had, and he said this one was one of the best sounding ones that he had. So seek this 40th anniversary out. And I think for the new reissues, they're using the same plates. So you can go out and get that new record that's currently available. It's in print, and you can buy this copy, and it'll be one of the best, if not the best sounding version ever made. What a deal. You don't have to go get that UK press for $300, right? Amazing record. Every song on that is a hit. Okay, now this is where we start change of pace. Budgie, Squawk. This is the record I bought at Kmart in 1972. I walked into Kmart, I saw that cover, I said, that's cool. I gotta have that. I don't know what this is, but that's cool stuff. So I took it home. And what's cool about it, it's a 50-year-old record. All these records now, they're 50 years old. That's what's cool about it, right? One of the things cool about it. And it's on this cap label. Yeah, you don't see that very often. And of course, I was living in Winnipeg, so this is a Canadian pressing. And it's still, really, really nice. I didn't beat this one up too bad. Really, really nice condition. Of course, I didn't start using the outer sleeves until just the last maybe 20 years or so. 25 years, I guess, something like that. So the cover's got a little bit of wear on it. But, it's not that bad, all things considered, right? Pretty nice. And a couple of the great songs on here. Whiskey River, Drugstore Woman. Wow, what a great one. Stranded, just rolling home again. I'm going back. This is Hot as a Doctor's Armpit. Wow, what a song. And I don't have to introduce this very much. Black Sabbath Volume 4 came out in 72. This is one of the best records from 72. I think you get a lot of people agreeing on that. And this is the Rhino reissue from 2012, I believe, around there, when they came out. When they were still at RTI, when Warner Brothers was doing the Rhinos with that sticker like that over at RTI. And I did comparisons of a lot of different records, and I found this to be the best sounding one. Because the tape, they were actually recorded, this was actually recorded in California, not in UK. Like the first three are UK, those UK swirls have the best sound on them. And then you can get some later WWA presses or some of those later Castles from the UK, the early ones. They all sound fantastic. Black Sabbath 4, 1972, folks. That's great, great stuff. Now look, one of my favorite records of all time. I bought this record in 1972. Probably not this one. I don't know, maybe this is a Canadian press. Let's have a look, folks. Yeah, Columbia Records, Canada. Yeah, this is a Canadian pressing right here. This is a great record. Bought it in 72. Loved it ever since. Of course, I've got a couple other copies, you know, more audiophile kind of stuff. But, you know, She's as Beautiful as a Foot. What a great ballad. That is a great song. City's on Flame with Rock and Roll, right? Then came The Last Days of May, another great ballad they got in here. Starry to the Stars, Before They Kiss Her Red Cap. Pardon me. You're not familiar with this? And you like rock and roll, some hard rock? This is the record for you folks. You need to look that up. Another great record from 1972. Another one of my favorite records of all time. Top 5 record. Captain Beyond. And we've talked about this record quite a bit in the vinyl community. There's quite a bit usually available on eBay. Probably Discogs the same. You can pick these up. You don't have to go for the Japanese one. They have the OG. I should have got the OG out, but the OG has a venticular cover right here, and that's really, really cool to get. But just a phenomenal rock record. It's got some ex-members of Deep Purple's on here, and it was recorded in Macon, Georgia, on Capricorn Records. And Iron Butterfly, the other group. Yeah. Okay, what about this? Savoy Brown. This record, most Savoy Brown stuff is 70, 69 in those years, 71. This one was the 72. This is probably one of my favorite ones. It has the song, of course, Hellbound Train on it. And it's got a great cover. Right? It's a great artwork on the cover. Hold it there for a sec. You can all have a little look at it. And the inside of the gatefold, a bunch of cartoons on there. That's pretty cool. And all of my Savoy Brown records are all OGs, and they're on that Canadian Parrot label. And they're all near mint. The records are. I bought a guy's collection, and he had all these Savoy Brown records, and I was able to get them all mint condition. So happy. You know, every time I do a purge, I go through and I replay all these Savoy Brown records, and I realize why I have them. They're so good. Any of those Savoy Brown records, they're all good. That's the one from 72. Well, look at this, folks. Deep Purple Machine Head. That's from 1972. Yeah, I was a junior in high school. We would drive around and play. This would come on the radio, and we'd all be playing the drums and having a great time in the car. And again, this is another one of those Rhino reissues. And I've had a lot of different versions of this record. And this is, of course, Kevin Gray remastered it, and it's fantastic. One of those records that was pressed at RTI, remastered by Kevin Gray. Sounds fantastic. Nice, big, thick covers. You know, Rhino did a great job back in those days. They were making this stuff in the USA back then. Really good. And of course, I don't have to go over the song list, but we're gonna, it's got Smoke on the Water and a bunch of other, Smoke on the Water, Highway Star. It says right on here, mastered by Kevin Gray at Acoustic Mastering. That's the one to get, right? And Space Truckin's on here. There's just a lot of really, really good songs on this record. And they did a nice little touch. They put it on that Warner Brother label, which is nice. Lazy, yeah, that's a great, great song. Just one of those records, every song is great. And that's about the same with about all these records from 1972 that I think are the best from 72. Every song is great. Fantastic record, as probably you all know. Now, here's Uriah Heaps, The Magician's Birthday. Another, just a really, really good record. There's another Roger Dean artwork on this. Roger Dean has done a couple of the Uriah Heep records. This is one of them. And 1972 bronze records. I can't remember the song list on here, but Sunrise, Spider Woman, Echoes in the Dark, Sweet Lorraine, The Magician's Birthday. Yeah, lots of really good stuff on here. Really, really nice record. And of course, this record here is a first pressing, a first edition. And I've had it for a number of years, but look how nice these records are. All these records are 50 years old that I'm playing, except for there's a couple later MoFis in here that I've got that aren't 50 years old, but this is an original. And of course, like a lot of those are reissues, I should say, the Kevin Gray remastered and such, right? Emerson, Lake and Palmer Trilogy. This was 1972. One of their best. And all their early stuff is great. Tarkus, Trilogy, Brain Salad Surgery. Really good. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Then you just have to go to find what record came out in 72 from Just Roll Tall, and that will be one of the best records of the year. And look which one is 72. Yeah, this is one of the best records ever. Thick as a brick. Lucky to get it on the MoFi. Really nice. Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill was 1972. Again, one of the best records of all time, never mind of 1972. That's got to be on your list. And this one, I bought this number of years ago when it came out, and it's out of Germany on the Speaker's Corner label, and it's got a nice shiny gatefold, and they did put it on that black RCA label. And a lot of folks, they really like it. They might not like all the Steely Dan, but they really love this one. Now me, and like a lot of you, we like all the Steely Dan. They can't make a bad record. It's like Pink Floyd. Maybe a couple of the later ones with them. Or Led Zeppelin. There's bands, Beatles. They don't make bad records. Everything they do is great. But this again, 72 is this is their first release. This is one of the better ones too. One that I really love. One I listened to over and over back in the day when it came out. Roxy Music. This is their first record too from 1972. That's when they started. And this one is a nice UK original pressing. Always got girls on his covers most of the time. And I will show you the label because this is one of the labels I think is always so pretty. That pink rim Island label. Now the first Island labels, they're all pink. And they call that a pink Island. And the second one that usually came out after those earlier ones from the 60s, it's got the pink rim on it. So we call that the pink rim on the Island label. And another thing that I've got with the record is a poster. Quite a big poster. I should hang this thing up to the background. But you can't hang the posters up that come in the records. You might get a stain on it or a pole or something. It's got to be pristine inside the record. I guess that's usually the way we do it, right? We don't hang the posters on. We're not 18 anymore, hanging the posters on the wall and sticking the covers up on the wall with some pins and stuff. We're not doing that anymore. Not usually. They got little frames now you can get for your records. Hang them up on the wall if you want. Roxy Music. Self-titled. This is one of the best records from 1972, and I think you all agree if you know this record. Right? 1972, this is another one of the best records ever made. Yes, Close to the Edge. Do I need to say more about this record? No. And if you don't know about it, again, you need to find out about it. Yes, Close to the Edge. This is the Friday Music reissue. It's a half-speed master, and it sounds fantastic. I have had many, many copies of this record, many different versions, and this is by far the best sounding version that I've ever heard. How about some Frank Zappa? What did he do in 72? The Grand Wazoo. And again, this is not your kind of typical crazy Frank Zappa. This is one of his better records in my opinion. He's actually playing music on this, kind of a little jazzier side of Frank Zappa. Check this out. If you listen to some of that early Frank Zappa and you said, "What are they doing? Is this music? What's going?" Yeah, listen to this. You'll be surprised how good this record is. Now, Elton John, remember 1972, right? Rocket Man. Yeah, what a great song. Rocket Man's on here. And Honky Cat. That's another phenomenal song. Both of them on here. And I was really lucky enough to get it on this first edition. Pressing sounds phenomenal. I really, really love it. And it's got that little flap on the back. If you're not familiar with the way the first editions were on this record, it opens up like that. Okay. And it even says right on there, Rock Now in 72. Got the little insert in there. That's where some of those old David Bowie Obies said Rock Now on it, because that year, that's what they were doing. Here, Mott the Hoople. All the Young Dudes. If you're not familiar, this is kind of like David Bowie has a song on here. This is more like a glam rock, like David Bowie. If you like David Bowie and you want to venture into what else is like that, here, Mott the Hoople. And this is 1972. Now they've got, I think, one from 71, 72, 73, those years. I've got like 4 different Mott the Hoople records. Really good. I really do love this band. They're really good. And this one in particular was one of the first times that I got a record. This was made by Acoustic Sounds over at Quality Records, and Kevin Gray remastered the record. And at Coherent Audio, and we weren't familiar with Coherent Audio. This is one of the first records that I ever bought that he did at Coherent. So I did a video about this record, and I talked all about Coherent Audio and how I was really, really impressed with all the stuff that they had over there. See, arranged by Mott the Hoople and David Bowie on this record right here. 1972, Ian Hunter, vocals, piano, right? Great. And this was, and it's actually, I got a numbered copy, 357 of 1,000, so I'm not sure how many they made, what they do, why this was 1,000 records, but really, and this sound, I have actually a first edition Japanese press of this, and this one sounds better. And I've had an original Columbia press too, but it had a certain brightness to this record that it always had. And Kevin, you know how Kevin is, he's able to clean up that stuff. And this one is a lot better sounding. The one that was made by Quality Records. You know, what really got me about this record was the fact that it wasn't made by one of the big record companies. It was commissioned by a record store out in Colorado called Drastic Plastic. Somehow they got the tape. They sent it over to Kevin Gray. They got the lacquer done. They sent it over to, Quality Records. Chad Kassam pressed the record. They got the covers made over in California at the City of Industry. The nice, shiny, glossy cover. Just the kind of record you and I would make if we could get it master tape and we could make a record. We'd do it exactly the same way. And this was, like I said before, this was one of the first records that I ever heard about coherent audio. And what a fantastic job that Drastic Plastic did making this record. It's fantastic. And the quality is so good. Now I don't know what the master tape or whatever that was. I don't know, but I just know it sounds really good. It sounds better than any of the other records I've ever heard of this version. So that's the main thing. And hats off to everybody involved in this. And it just goes to show you that the big record companies, they're not in it to make good records or the best sounding records or anything like that. Because now they're just in it for the money like they used to be back in the 70s and the 80s. Well, they got out of records in the 90s because they could make a lot more money on CDs. And so that's when Classic Records and Acoustic Sounds and MoFi and these companies were making audiophile records. And Steve Hoffman at DCC was making records back then too, and that's the kind of records we were getting because it was only kind of the audiophile crowd that was still wanting records. But now that those other folks got back into it, it's hard to get the tapes from them people because they want to make their own version of the record and they want to do it their way. Well, anyway, Drastic Plastic, Mata Hoopa, all the young dudes, one of the best records from 1972. Then we have Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes. All these early Amboy Dukes records from like 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, in those years, they're all really, really good records. I got them all. They're fantastic. Love them all. And this is from 1972, Ted Nugent, Call of the Wild. Really good record. Then we go to Alice Cooper. This is one of the records you need to have in your collection as far as I'm concerned. Really, really good Alice Cooper record. Now this isn't the one with the desk with the fold-out leg. This is a reissue by Friday Music, remastered by Kevin Gray over at Acoustic. Maybe not at Acoustic, but it was remastered by Kevin Gray. And just a great record on here. School's Out, Alma Mater, Grand Finale, Gutter Cat versus the Jets, Looney Tune, My Stars, Public Animal number 9. So, yeah, I remember that. School's Out for Summer, man. It came out, this record probably came out sometime in May, and we were getting out of school and we were just playing that song over and over and over again. School's Out for Summer. And that Gutter Cat, the Jets, Looney Tune, that's kind of a takeoff of West Side Story. If you're familiar with West Side Story and the songs in there, you really get a kick out of this record. It's a masterpiece, in my opinion. And that remaster by Friday Music now with Kevin Gray involved in it, best sounding version ever. Then we have the Moody Blues, Seventh Sojourn. This is their record from 1972. Now they go back to like 67, 8, and 70. So this is one of their later records. Most of the other stuff is earlier stuff. This is of course the record from 1972. And it has on here, I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band. Everybody should be familiar with that song. They played the death of it on the radio, and we always love that song. And this is a big, thick OG press out of Japan, and it's on the White Threshold label. Most people, you're probably familiar with that blue threshold, but that's the white one. That's the original presses are on the white threshold label like that. And this is a nice, big, thick, beautiful cover, nice record. It doesn't have the OB strip on it, but, you know, that's not the... This isn't like the most collectible record in the world anyway, so that I'm not too worried about it. I just want a nice sounding version of this record, and this is it. And then 1972, you know, ZZ Top was kicking in 72. And in 09, that's when Rhino was getting all their stuff made over at RTI. And Kevin Gray was over there with Steve Hoffman making some of the best records in the world. And here's another one of them, Rio Grande Mud. And it's got like the pebble cover. And, you know, they just made these records better than they were originally. All those stuff that they made over there in those days, phenomenal products. Anytime you see that sticker on a record, and this, they're getting harder to find now, and when you do see them, people are wise to it, and the prices have gone up quite a bit. I remember Richard Riley had bought this record. If you don't know who Richard Riley is, you need to check out his channel. He'd he'd bought this record, but it wasn't with the silver sticker now. They're being reissued, but Warner Brother now moved over to Germany, and they're getting their stuff made over at Palace, I think. And they don't have all the plates, but so when they do now they're making the digital records over in Germany, right? Because one of the things I learned when I did the research on coherent audio, Kevin Gray said that his mastering facility at Coherent is one of the few mastering studios in the world that can still make an analog record. All those big record companies have sold their soul, Abbey Road Studios, all of them have sold their soul to digital. Because it's a lot easier to work with, it's a lot easier to do that digital stuff. Of course, you don't get the same product as you do with a great original master tape, like these are made from. And see, these are Warner Brothers, and this is a lot of US bands, so we've got the tapes in here in this country. It's really hard to get those old master tapes, like basically impossible, to get the UK tapes out of the UK. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to get some of those old bands if we're going to get those stuff redone, like Led Zeppelin. That gets me on another thing. And I'll end it with this. You know, Chad Kassem over there at Acoustic Sounds, he bought Classic Records. And Classic Records, Bernie Grundman, he remastered all that stuff. He got the tapes and they remastered it, and they sound phenomenal. You know, the Classic Records, Led Zeppelin stuff. And if you go, I haven't done it for a while now, it's probably been about 6 months, but if you go on eBay and you search Classic Records 200 gram, and you see all of the records that are for sale on eBay, all the stuff on there, Chad's got all the plates for all that stuff. That's what when he made the Just Flotal Aqualung, he just used the plates that he had. Same thing with the latest record that he put, Kind of Blue. He had the plates that Bernie Grundman had done before. So he's got oodles and oodles of records that he can produce that are fantastic. And he's so busy. He said in one of his interviews, he's pressing Abbey Road for one of his clients. He's got one of those presses. He's working a double shift or he's working around the clock. I don't remember which one it was, but he's got at least a couple of shifts working that press constantly, and they're pressing Abbey Road. And there's such a demand for that record, he can't put anything else on there. Because they said, well, he says, what do you want me to do? I'm making money pressing that record every day. It's paying the bills out here. I can't take that off and do something else. He's got a lot of titles, that in-house stuff that he's mastered it in-house. He's had the musicians come out there and master a record, and he's cut everything right there, and those titles are out of stock. He can't even make his own stuff. So, but he's out in Kansas, and he's making another 30,000 square foot building, and he's going to put a whole new record pressing plant over there. So we will soon, in the next year or two, be able to start getting a lot more stuff out of there. Because he makes the best records in the world. Anything comes out of there, just like that Mott the Hoopa record, right? It's great. Great stuff. Okay. I want to thank everybody for hanging around this long and listening to me talk about records. Now, if you like that kind of stuff, make sure that you're subscribed. Hit the subscribe button. I'm pretty sure it's still free to do, so hurry up and get it while the getting's good. And if you put the like on the video, it helps a lot other people see the video. And thank you so much for tuning in, and bye for now.